Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to Be Determined. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a crafting update idea that I came up with because we haven't had a crafting revamp in a while and I just thought it'd be cool to do. So if you guys like these ideas or if you don't like them, let me know in the comments. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's jump into it. So before we talk about updating crafting, we actually need to talk about the current crafting system, which this system is going to be based around Carpentry, of course. This is more of a Carpentry update than anything else. The normal crafting system wouldn't change with this too much. There would be a few changes, but nothing in this menu would be different. Basically, the way that Carpentry works right now is at Carpentry 1, you unlock access to this Carpentry bench, which allows you to craft a bunch of new furnitures and things, which currently don't really have a use. They're just cosmetic. And I think it's okay to just kind of leave these where they are. We'd basically be ignoring most of this with this update. There's a possibility that they could give furnitures like extra stat boost. So say you craft an enchanting table plus, that would actually give you like maybe 5 enchanting wisdom, so you level your enchanting faster, or maybe a 1% extra chance to drop a T7 from the max super pairs. Something like that could be cool, but the craft would have to be a lot more expensive. If we were to revamp this part of it, that's kind of the idea I had for it. So currently the highest level craft that you can get is the grandfather clock, which is a decently expensive craft, but something they could do with it to make it a little bit cooler and actually give it a use would be to make it go around rift time. So you can actually get a little bit of rift time from crafting this item. It would cost some things from the rift, so maybe a guardian lucky block or something else that's kind of expensive from the rift that's rift transferable, plus a bunch of items in the real world. So say a guardian lucky block and a bunch of wooden singularities, something like that could be useful. But they could definitely add more items like this to actually give stats to the player. There is currently a furniture limit as to how many items you can have on your island at one time, which I think that should stay. But if we were to revamp this part of it, that's what it would be about. Now, currently, Carpentry only goes up to level 50, which of course would be changed with this update. It'd go up to 60, but you would unlock a lot more things, a lot cooler things along the way. I don't really want this to gatekeep anything major in the game. Like, imagine you grind to Hyperion, but you can't craft it yourself until you're Carpentry 40. That would be kind of stupid. So all the normal items like Hyperion, Fermento armor, things like that that require some pretty crazy crafts shouldn't require Carpentry levels to do. So these levels would not gatekeep anything that you can already craft, but it would add some new items that would be gatekeeped. Basically, at Carpentry 15, you would unlock a new crafting table that you can make, and the menu would look like this. So it'd be a 5x5 crafting table, and you'd be able to craft a lot of cool things with this, which I feel like Carpentry 15 is pretty easy to get. I don't think that you can actually craft squash armor and not get Carpentry 15, so having Fermento unlocked at Carpentry 15 would be okay, I think. And maybe even Hyperion craft at this point. Some other cool things that just require this crafting table to be able to make, just so it's a lot more epic of a moment whenever you actually get all the items required to make this. So it wouldn't actually like change the recipe requirements. For instance, the Fermento helmet requires 32 enchanted brown mushroom blocks, 32 enchanted sugar cane, and 32 enchanted red mushroom blocks, 2 condensed fermentos, and the squash helmet. Like, it wouldn't change that recipe. It would just change the order that it's laid out on the crafting table. So let's say, for example, these are your condensed fermentos, your mushroom blocks, and whatever the last thing was. I think it was sugarcane. But let's say, for example, currently, you currently make it like this with these here, and then your helmet would be there, and you make the fermento. Instead of that, it's the same items, but just in a different order in a 5x5 grid. So have these here, maybe lay out the red mushroom blocks this way, lay out the brown this way, or maybe this way, and then have all the enchanted sugarcane like this. Something like that just kind of makes it more of an epic moment and seem like a lot bigger of a craft than it really is. Because right now, crafting that stuff, you can just quick craft it and it doesn't matter. It doesn't feel like it matters. So if you have these big crafting tables and these big menus that take a little bit longer, if you want to, you can make it a bigger moment. If it's not that big of a deal, you can still super craft it, but I think that could be a pretty cool concept. And of course, this wouldn't just be for items that are already in the game. It would add a bunch of new items, which we'll go over in a second, but it would also cost some coins to use because a lot of the items that are going to come from this update, at least in my mind, this is again not an update that the admins designed. This is my own personal concept. It probably won't get added, but it's fun to speculate. Anyways, a lot of the things from this update would also act as kind of a minion revamp. So a lot of minion boosts and things, which would make minions make more money and generate more coins. Minions are some of the biggest coin generators in the game currently. Even if you're AFK for months or years, your minions are still making money. So what this would kind of do is solve that issue, and making every single craft that you make with this crafting table cost some coins would kind of help undermine that inflation a little bit. So give us some money sinks with some money generators, you know, kind of balance things out a little bit. But the main thing this update would add is called a Minion Booster 1000. And it wouldn't be just a Minion Booster 1000, it would go all the way up to Minion Booster 2000, 3000, 4000, and 5000. The first one, the 1000, you unlock at Carpentry level 15, which is when you unlock this new crafting table. And what it would basically do is give every single minion on your island a boost. And there would be 5 different types of boosts unlocked based on which minion booster level that you have. So this is what the menu would look like. The Minion Booster 1000 would have 1 slot, and this slot would be for minion speed. So it would boost the minion speed of every single minion on your island, and it'd be similar to gemstones. Like there's different levels of gemstones, there'd be different levels of boosters that you unlock at different crafting levels. So starting at Carpentry 15, you unlock out the first boost and the second boost and the third boost. Each boost is more expensive than the last. Again, all of these crafts would be made with this. The first one could be somewhat cheap. It's only going to boost your minions by 1%. So maybe make it cost some hamster wheels, a bit of foul flesh, and some catalyst. And you lay those out on here and craft a tier 1. Then you put that tier 1 back in the middle right here, surround it with some more hamster wheels, and then lava buckets, enchanted lava buckets on either side, and then maybe some more foul flesh. And then there'd be another upgrade after that. That would be 3%. And then once you get to Carpentry 20, there's one that's 4%, 25. There's one at 5%, 30, 6%, 35, 7%, 40, 8%, 45, 9%, and 50, a 10% boost. So you'd unlock the max one at level 50, even though the max carpentry level is level 60, because there are more upgrades that you unlock as you go along. The second slot would be for minion storage. So it upgrades the minion storages that you have on your island by a certain amount. So currently you have the small minion storages. I think this is a medium storage right here. And then this is a large storage. So maybe every storage level unlocks 1 or 2 more minion storage spaces. So this slot would be unlocked with the Minion Booster 2000, which is craftable at crafting or carpentry level 20. And again, it would work the same as the first boost. You can craft different level boosts for this all the way up to tier 10, unlocked at different carpentry levels, and the first 3 are craftable immediately. Now you will only be able to place 1 type of boost in each, so you can't have 2 speed boosts in these 2 slots. 1 speed boost can only go in this single slot, and a storage boost has to go in this single slot as well. So their slots will be assigned similar to gemstone slots currently. Like for instance, Necron Armor specifically has this 1 slot. The first slot has to be a Jasper, the second slot is universal. The way this will work is it will not have any universal slots. It will be a specific item that can only go in there. So first one would be speed boost, second one would be storage. The third one, unlocked at Carpentry 25, would be XP rate increase, which could be unlocked earlier on. It could be switched between the first one or not, because the further you get in the game, the less helpful this one would be. But people still use minions to level their pets quite often, so this one will still be relevant even if you have maxed out the skill of whatever your minions use. But again, this one is unlocked at Carpentry 25. There's 10 levels that are unlocked after that. The fourth slot, which is unlocked with the Minion Booster 4000, craftable at Carpentry 30, would give drop rate increase. So similar to the compost bins double drop chance, that's kind of what this would work as. The first one would be a 1% double drop chance, second one 3% or 2%, third one 3%, and so on all the way up to the level 10, which is a 10% double drop chance. And basically every single one of these upgrades between these two specifically is going to increase the amount of money that you get by quite a bit. So again, that is why this will have a craft cost for every single item. It will cost straight up coins to craft things. So it won't be extremely expensive, somewhere between 1 to 10 million coins per craft, depending on the craft, but that will just help curb the inflation by quite a bit. And finally, the last slot unlocked with the Minion Booster 5000 would be craftable at Carpentry 35, and this one would increase fuel effectiveness. So basically, let's take for example the hamster wheel. It increases the speed of your minion by 50% for 24 hours. With the first tier of this upgrade, it would give a 1% more effectiveness to hamster wheels. So a 50% speed boost is a 0.5 times speed boost. It would basically give a 0.5% speed boost. So hamster wheels would increase the speed of your minions by 50.5% instead of just 50%. Not a crazy boost, but again, that is the tier 1 upgrade, and this is just hamster wheels, which is a pretty bad fuel. If you go on to something better like the hyper catalyst, which increases the amount of resources a minion creates by 4 times, it would go on to increase it by 4.04 times. So that's a pretty substantial boost at level 1. Once you get to level 10, it's a 10% increase of fuel effectiveness, so it'd be a 4.4 times speed. And that on every single minion could get pretty crazy. So the numbers on that could be curbed a little bit. Maybe increases fuel effectiveness by 0.5% instead of 1%. It can be argued either way. Definitely some testing would need to be done. But on top of all these boosts, minions would be a lot better. But I will remind you, these craft costs are going to be insane. A tier 10 craft cost would cost like 25 plasma buckets plus something else, you know, like it's going to be insane craft costs. These craft costs are not going to be cheap. Maybe like 24 ritual residue, 16 plasma buckets, and like 25 wooden singularities. Like that's just an example. It's going to be very, very pricey. But again, it's a permanent speed boost and it will make itself money back over time. There could also be a craft for some upgrades that aren't related to the minion boosters. So imagine like a couple new hoppers. Like currently, if we look up hoppers on Bazaar, we have the budget hopper, which gives a 50% sell price, and the enchanted hopper, which gives a 90%. You can make a super enchanted hopper with this new crafting table that would give 100%, and maybe an even more expensive version of it, which could give 101%. So it'd be actually better for you to not claim the drops from the minions if they sell to NPC. If you're trying to sell it to Bazaar, then it's still going to be better for you to claim it. But if you're selling it to NPC, like with snow minions and things like that, slime minions, then it's going to be better to not even touch the minion except to claim from the hopper. They could even add some even more powerful enchanted lava buckets. Like right now we have the enchanted lava bucket, you know, pretty cheap, 25% boost. Then there's the magma bucket, which is 4 million coins currently, 30% boost, and the plasma bucket, which is 13 million coins and a 35%. They could add some even more expensive buckets that go all the way up to 50% boost or something crazy like that, but cost hundreds of millions of coins per craft. So they'll take a long time to pay themselves off, but they'll give a ton of carpentry XP and they'll make a ton of money from your minion if you give them enough time. So I know this update seems a lot like it just be a minions revamp more than a carpentry revamp, but this really would make way for a lot more updates in the future. Like if they decided to add some crazy new axes with the foraging update, or in the future some really cool fishing rods and upgrades like that, then you would end up having to use this crafting recipe to craft those more expensive crafts. So really this makes way for the future of this game to have more expensive items, because again, the Hyperion, currently one of the most expensive items in the game, costs about 900 million coins to make between the Wither Catalyst and the handle. But if they want to do some more items with more variety things, very similar to the Terminator is one of the most unique crafts we currently have, but it can only ever cost this much as a max because of the amount of crafting slots. There's only 9 slots that you can fill. If they go up to 25 with this crafting table, they'll be able to make some way more expensive crafts with more updates in the future. So this is, again, very similar to the updates we had last year that paves the way for more updates in the future, but I think it'll be necessary to do something similar to this to make crafting a viable option in the future. Again, it doesn't have to be a 5x5 table. You could even just do a 4x4 one and still make plenty of more expensive crafts with this. I just think having a nice bit of symmetry with 5x5 makes the most sense. But again, this is just an update concept that I come up with, and there's of course plenty of tweaks and changes that could be made. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Have an amazing rest of your day, and God bless.